Hello everybody, welcome to the Redmen TV. This is Liverpool Development Watch. My name is Ben Kelly. Yes, it's been away for quite a few weeks. The first big news that I want to talk to you about is that the Liverpool Development Watch will now become a monthly show. Given the loanees out on loan at the moment and the interest in them and the youth sides as well, we just thought it'd be better to turn it to a monthly show just to allow the show to be a little bit longer. There's definitely always going to be things to talk about. So this way I think it's better off for everybody rather than having it once a week with not a lot going on. Sometimes it's pointless for me to produce the show because not much has happened. It's better to do it this way because, like I say, every week there will be something to talk about and it makes the show a bit more padded. So let's have a look at a busy month for our loanees and an up and down period for our youth sides over the month of November. So let's take a look at how they've all got on, and we'll lead with the loanees and we'll lead with the main man, Mr. Harry Wilson. He had an amazing month and it feels like he's scoring a screamer every time I open Twitter. You know, every time I open that app it feels like there's another video going viral of Wilson scoring a free kick or, you know, just a top draw strike. Last week in particular was up there with one of his most successful. He's got 4 goals in his last 3 games for Derby County after a brace against Swansea this weekend. He also bagged another beautiful free kick away at Stoke City in the week last week. He's got 7 goals in 17 appearances now this season and he's becoming quickly regarded as one of the best players in the Championship. They sit 7th in the league and still firmly in the promotion hunt. It'd be good if Frank Lampard could lead Derby to a promotion in his first season. I've always been a fan of Frank Lampard both as a player and he's very good in front of the media. He's been very good as a manager as well, and it looks as if his management style is doing wonders for Harry Wilson. It'll be an absolute crime if he isn't given a chance under Jurgen Klopp at Liverpool next season. Let's just hope that he is taken at least on the pre-season tour and we'll see where it goes from there. But I do seem to think that if Liverpool decide that they're not going to keep him on next season, you know, not going to keep him in the team, and they might suggest, if they do suggest loaning him out again, I have a feeling he'll push to leave permanently because I think he's just too good to be playing in the Championship. He needs to be playing Premier League level, and for me, he needs to be playing in Liverpool's side when he can. It's been quite the opposite story for Ben Woodburn's loan to Sheffield United, which has obviously been surrounded by much doubt in recent weeks. Liverpool aren't happy at all with the amount of playing time he's getting at Bramall Lane. It's been floated that Liverpool could recall him in January. He's been playing the odd game for the under-23s to get a bit of game time. He's averaged 81 minutes per month since arriving at Sheffield United, which is obviously serious cause for concern from a Liverpool point of view. The problem with playing for the under-23s is that he's just far too good for it. It's not really doing his development any good. He comes on, he runs the show, which is great, and it'll be good for his confidence, but he's not actually furthering himself as a player for me when he plays at the under-23s level because he's just not good enough. And the problem is then when he goes back to the Championship and does it that way, he's not strong enough. He's just not big enough. The lad needs to hit the gym. Look, I'm not a big guy, but then again, I'm not trying to be a Premier League footballer for Liverpool. If you want to do that, if you want to play in physical leagues such as the Championship or the Premier League, you need to bulk up. You can't be a weed because you're just going to be left behind. And that's where I worry for Ben Woodburn's future. If he's physically not capable of bulking up, building himself a bit of muscle, I don't see him getting into the team ahead of Firmino. Think about all the dirty work that Firmino does with his body. You know, that's the sort of position that Ben Woodburn's going to want to be taking when he comes into the side. He wants to play that 10 or one of the 8s or maybe one of the wingers. But if you think about him as a 10, as a Roberto Firmino potential replacement, think of the work, the grafting that Firmino does on the pitch in terms of his defensive stuff. He drops so deep and he uses his body so much, and that's something that Ben Woodburn's going to have to rely on if he wants to take part in Jurgen Klopp's Liverpool squad. Sheffield Star journalist Danny Hall spoke to thisisanfield.com about Ben Woodburn's stuttering loan. He actually said that upon confirmation of the news, the fans were buzzing. The Sheffield United fans were really excited. There was a lot of hype regarding Ben Woodburn, but he had a bit of a stuttering start. He didn't make too much of an impression in his opening performances, and in fact the most impact that he's had on the game was against Middlesbrough, where he came on at half-time towards the beginning of the season, but Sheffield were already 3-0 down at that point, and that's probably the best performance he's had in a Sheffield United shirt since arriving, so he just hasn't had the chance to make an impact. And then the problem is with the team playing well, pushing for promotion, Woodburn's falling down the pecking order and is now struggling to climb back up essentially. He's almost finding it impossible just because the team's playing so well. And I said this last week on the website on Steve Hall's Red News Roundup. We talked about the idea of recalling Ben Woodburn. I just think he's finding it impossible to get game time because, you know, as a young kid, you're always going to struggle to get game time in a team that are playing well, you know, and I think that's the issue. And after the poor performances in sort of the early stages of his Sheffield career, the hype of the fans kind of died away a bit more, and there's no real desire from the fans to to get him on the pitch at the moment either. You know, it's not like fans are calling for him to be playing every week, and the manager will be feeling some pressure, you know, to play Woodburn from the fans. This is very simply, he can't get in the side, and it's one of them where Liverpool have got to make a decision now. For the sake of Ben Woodburn's development, I'd look at recalling him and perhaps sending him to Rangers, because Ovi and Jaria and Ryan Kent, as we'll discuss a little bit later on in the show, are doing really well there under Steven Gerrard. So let's see what happens. January is going to be a big month for Ben Woodburn. It'd be interesting to see what decision the club makes. Karius has had further mixed fortunes at Besiktas over the last month. He's relatively highly rated in Turkey, but has had a couple of wobbly moments. I'm sure you all saw the video that was knocking about Twitter last week in the Europa League, and sort of going to catch a ball and letting it run through, and it just sort of runs out for a corner. It was a really bizarre whole sequence from Karius. I don't really understand why he didn't just pick it up and kick it out of his hands, essentially. So there's things like that still happening, and he has had a couple of injuries. I think he's had a wrist injury and a back injury, so he's missed some games as well. So he just came back into the side recently over the last week or so, and hopefully he kicks on a little bit more. I think it's one of them. I think the season is almost not a write-off, but I think for Loris Karius, he's just got to focus on building up some confidence. Obviously, we all know what happened in Kiev. He'll be thinking about it all the time, and I think this season he's just got to use it as a base, even if he doesn't stay at Besiktas for a second season or permanently. You know, he's got to use this season to almost build for next season, if you like. If he comes to the end of next season and, you know, he's kept some good clean sheets, he can look back and he can say he's made some good saves. I think wherever he ends up next season, I doubt it'll be at Liverpool given the form of Alisson, but, you know, I don't know. It depends on Mignolet's future. But given that, wherever he ends up, if it's another loan or he moves somewhere permanently, he can really start rebuilding his career from next season. For me, I think this season is important to lay down the basis and the foundation of a confidence rebuild, and then he can push on later on in his career and get back to the level I think we all know he can be. I think he can be a really good goalkeeper, but it's one of them where obviously this event in Kiev will follow him around for the rest of his career, and it's up to him to rebuild the confidence before anybody else has confidence in him again. It's been a great month for Herbie Kane, who's gone from strength to strength with Doncaster. He's been a fan favourite from day one, and he's now added goals to his game as well, which is really fantastic. If he comes back, you know, he's only on loan until January. He comes back, he'll probably be in and around the under-23s again, but, you know, it depends who we draw in the cup. Maybe we'll be able to get him into the first team a little bit. He's definitely earned an opportunity, if you ask me. He's one of the more underrated loanees that we have out there, and I think even though he's playing in League One, if we can get him perhaps a loan in the Championship for the rest of the season, or a Championship loan in the summer for next season, maybe he'll begin to show a little bit more, he'll grow as a player, and I genuinely think we've got a really good prospect of a midfielder in there. We've just got to let him keep doing his thing at Doncaster for now, and his confidence will continue to grow. He's getting all sorts of praise from Doncaster manager, Doncaster fans, the whole club in general has got a buzz about him. They probably want to keep hold of him. It might not be the end of the world to keep him there for the rest of the season if we can, but, you know, it is one of them where, you know, young players like this, they need the confidence building. If they do, much like Loris Karius, Herbie Kane, he's building his confidence at a professional level now. He's got professional goals. If he keeps going, Jurgen Klopp's going to take notice of that, and he's going to want him in the side going forward. Another highly rated midfielder that we've had on our books for a while now, Marco Grujic. He's returned from his injury problems over the last month for Hertha Berlin and has regained a starting place in the side. He's been one of the better players on the pitch in the last two matches since his return. Really promising stuff. You know, if you look at his SofaScore stats, he really is, you know, proven to be one of the best players on the ball and off it. So hopefully he begins to grow now. He kicks on for the rest of the season. I'm glad that injury hasn't taken too much time out of his season. Obviously, it would be much better if he had been playing over these last few weeks. He got injured on the 22nd of September, so he's had a sizable amount of time out now. But, you know, Christmas period's arriving, he'll have a lot of game time, a lot of game on the pitch. Germany, of course, have a winter break, so we'll have a little rest there. And then as we go on towards the end of the season, we'll see if he can ramp up his performances a little bit more. And when it comes to the summer, I think Liverpool will have a decision to make. You know, do they write off Marco Grujic as a loss and decide to move him on permanently, or do we bring him back into the side? I don't really think that a loan will be right for him next season, so I think we've got to make a decision for his long-term future, really. If he's going to get game time in the squad, which I think he's capable of doing, then we need to keep hold of him in the summer. We need to be playing him in all the friendlies, we need to be taking him on the tour, and we need to be reintegrating him in the squad for next season. Depends who we sign midfield as well. You know, Fabinho's coming into his own. It depends what comes of Jordan Henderson's future, Adam Lallana's future. If we sign somebody like a Nabil Fekir, who knows? But I think Reus can certainly be a viable option going forward, maybe as a squad rotation player. We'll just have to wait and see with that one. It's been a really good few weeks for Steven Gerrard and Rangers, along with loanees Ryan Kent and Ovie Ejaria. Fighting on two competition fronts has certainly proved a challenge for Gerrard's side, and they are needing to win their final Europa League group game versus Rapid Vienna in order to go through in a really well-poised group, actually. Over the last month, they actually haven't been beaten, and they've picked up a few big results, including a 7-1 win at home to Motherswell and a 3-0 win at home to Livingston, and they actually sit top of the Scottish Premiership right now, but Celtic are a point behind with a game in hand. It looks like the next Old Firm derby is going to be a really important one, which will just add that extra edge to the game that it doesn't need, but obviously we'll all be looking for it to have. It's looking like Gerrard could potentially produce something really special this season, and look, Rangers will do well to keep up with Celtic in the Scottish Premiership for the whole time, much like Liverpool and Manchester City, but stranger things have happened. If you get a bit of momentum going, you keep winning games, who knows where you'll end up at the end of the season. If Gerrard manages to win a league championship in his first season as a professional, you know, top-level coach, then that would be amazing, wouldn't it? On to the youth side, and as I said at the top of the show, it's been an up-and-down month for Neil Critchley's under-23s in particular, whose lowest point came when they were thrashed 7-0 at home to Villarreal in the Premier League International Cup on the 21st of November. A real tough day to forget for Neil Critchley and his side. They did, however, follow that up with a win away at Everton at Goodison Park the following weekend. This is one of the games Ben Woodburn came back and returned to play for, and he was one of the best players on the pitch in that game. He really made a difference. More recently this weekend saw them draw 1-1 at home to Bournemouth. We sit 8th in the Premier League too, with a few tricky games coming up. We've got Hertha Berlin in the Premier League International Cup in a crucial game there. We've also got games against both Arsenal and Spurs. Curtis Jones has had a few hamstring issues over the last few weeks and subsequently missed the under-19s trip to PSG in the UEFA Youth League. But the under-18s themselves have been going from strength to strength. They beat Middlesbrough 6-5 away from home in an unbelievably exciting context away from home this weekend, with Paul Glatzel bagging a last-minute winner for Barry Lutis' side. It's him and Bobby Duncan who are grabbing all the headlines once again, and won't surprise me at all if they are promoted to the under-23s at some stage this season, much like Curtis Jones and Adam Lewis were towards the back end of last season, from Steven Gerrard's side to Neil Critchley's side. It was a crazy game with a crazy scoring order. It started off by going 1-0 to Liverpool. It was 1-1, 2-1 to Liverpool, 2-2, 3-2 to Liverpool, 3-3, 4-3 to Middlesbrough, 4-4, 5-4 to Middlesbrough, and then Liverpool ended up winning it 6-5. It was absolutely ridiculous. Bobby Duncan is absolutely flying at this level and scored 4 of Liverpool's goals at the weekend. And to paint a picture of where they are in the league, on November 23rd, the lads lost at home to Derby, which meant they slipped back to second in the table. Obviously, a few weeks ago, we beat Everton in the Merseyside derby 4-3, and that meant we leapfrogged them to the top. But now we're just a point behind again after that loss, obviously at home to Derby. In Europe, Liverpool sit top of the group of the UEFA Youth League with 10 points and have already qualified. A win against Napoli on match day 6 on the 11th of December will guarantee them top spot of Group C. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is this month's Liverpool Development Watch all boxed off for you. Thank you very much for watching as always. I'll be back in the first week of January to discuss all the Christmas period stuff for the loanees and the youth sides as well. I've been Ben Kelly for the Redmen TV. Do all the usual stuff. Subscribe to the channel, leave me a comment down below and like the video. And I will see you next time. Goodbye.